Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. We've been fortunate. All the storms blew away last night, and we have a beautiful day, and we are so appreciative of everybody's gathering from all over the state, from the upcountry down from Charleston. It's always great when all the regions of the state can gather together in this wonderful hall and institution of our governance. And we sincerely appreciate the intention the governor has put into these awards. Every time we've done this while he was lieutenant governor and now governor, he's been here with us, and we sincerely appreciate this. And I introduce the Honorable Governor of South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Wiedenbaugh. Thank you. I'll be very brief. Y'all, thank you for coming, and I appreciate you including me again this year. I just love history. I can't get enough of it, but I know that it's hard to really get a good grip on it. And there have been books, and I recently read about an author. I don't remember the details, but this author was writing on, I think it was the death penalty or executions or something, and going back in the records recorded death recorded. You remember? And the author took that as meaning there was an execution. Well, it turned out that in those times, in that place, such an entry meant that there was no death, that the judge just put that in and allowed the person to not be executed. Just the opposite of what you would have thought. So that's the point. It really takes a lot of understanding, a lot of context in order to understand history and what has happened, particularly in this wonderful place where we're loaded with history. I got back from Arkansas the other day. Our governor's mansion was built in 1854. The buildings, Nancy Bunch, outside, one of them is 1834, the other one 1845, I think, and the mansion itself 1855. Well, the building out there was a teenage building built in 1950. It's a teenage state. We go all the way, it's a mature state, it's an adult state. So we're loaded with history, and we can learn so much from it. But in order to do that, you have to understand the context, not just what you're reading or looking at, but the entire context. So buildings and books and pictures and all of those things, battlefields, there's an effort going on now by a group to identify and to purchase battlefields, just actual battlefields, the Revolutionary War and others here in the state. So we have a grand history, and this is a marvelous way to see that we understand it and we learn from it. It's enormously important, and that we are proud of what we've done in South Carolina. And I thank you for letting me participate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much. All right. I want to welcome everybody. Let's get started. Each year, thousands of South Carolinians work to preserve the state's legacy that is reflected in our historic buildings, structures, and sites. And since 1995, the South Carolina Department of Archives and History, Preservation South Carolina, and the Office of the Governor have recognized exceptional accomplishments in the preservation, rehabilitation, and interpretation of our architectural and cultural heritage with a series of statewide awards. These efforts demonstrate the outstanding commitment to preserving South Carolina's history. Therefore, the South Carolina Department of Archives and History and Preservation South Carolina and the Office of the Governor have joined together again for the 25th Annual South Carolina Historic Preservation Awards, recognizing exemplary work in historic preservation. Just so you know, the selection panel on how we selected these awards are from a selection panel that is made up of a representative of the Office of the Governor. Nancy Bunch is always at our table representing the Governor's office. Preservation South Carolina Board President, our designee, Sarah Spruill, our Board President, is here, along with another member of the board, Ray Sigmund, is always here. And Director of South Carolina Department of Archives and History, Eric Emerson. Thank you, Eric. And a representative of the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission, of the Confederation of South Carolina Local Historic Societies, a representative from the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and a representative from South Carolina Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. This way we get the full picture and the full input of all the issues that's involved in figuring out what is the most impactful, and y'all are the recipients of that. So let's get started. Union County Carnegie Library. At the turn of the 20th century, steel industrialist Andrew Carnegie created one of the most far-reaching philanthropic programs in the nation's history, donating millions of dollars to create thousands of libraries around the country. In South Carolina, 15 of these Carnegie libraries were eventually established. However, the Carnegie Free Library in Union County bears the distinction of being the first, and many will say one of the most beautiful. Today, the library is one of only 4 Carnegie libraries remaining in South Carolina. Designed by the regionally well-known firm Wheeler and Runge in Beaux Art style building, the building occupied an important place in the town's day-to-day life, both physically and symbolically. In its restoration, the community leadership sought to not only restore the glory of the original building design, but to also return the library to the community as a beacon of enlightenment and a catalyst for conversion, collaboration, conversation, and innovation among residents of all ages. Through careful investigation and paint analysis, the design team was able to determine the original paint color, restore the building to the palette intended by the original architect, all original windows and doors still in place. The team careful to remove paint and attend to their condition, ensuring their use well into the 21st century. Overall, the project included many other necessary upgrades to help sustain the building's safety and comfort for occupants and employees alike, including the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. One of the most wonderful things about this, and this is what this is about, is putting these places back into use that helped build them in the first place. That's the big winner, and the community is the big winner of that. The restored library now offers another generation of residents the same sense of wonder and excitement as their ancestors, while equipping them with 21st century tools to continue their community story. So the Preservation Honor Award goes to Union County Library recipients are Donald Love, McMillan Pazin Smith Architecture, Harper General Contractors, and Reader Drinkwine, Union County Carnegie Library. I'll step forward, please.
Mike, we don't know what we're doing.
No, you just
Does Rita
Yes.
drink?
Yes.
y'all just step right on here. We'll get a group shot with everybody. That's
Have a lot
fine.
of people.
It will be a party. Come on.
Union County Carnegie Library, someone?
It's Harper Corporation.
Harper. Donald Love,
There he is.
there he is.
Congratulations. Thanks.
All right. Right here. Oh, over here?
Everybody over there.
Oh, everybody.
It's a dance.
And just get really close to each other and make sure I can see your face. Right here. We'll take one more.
All right. Thank y'all very much. All right. Our second preservation award is for the work done on the Charleston Car Trolley Barn in Charleston. The renovation of the Charleston's Trolley Barn as an adaptive reuse for the artisans studying quality historic building design and methods has resulted in 38,000 square feet of space appropriately designed and built for that purpose. The structure, though listed on the National Register, was a blighted building for over 2 decades. It is important as one of the few surviving pre-1900 industrial buildings in this part of the city, which serves as a reminder of the diverse uses and character of this part of the city in the past. As one of Charleston Preservation Society's 7 to save, the American College of the Building Arts invested $5 million and saved a beautiful facility that had been abandoned for close to 30 years and would have been lost to the elements if not intervened in. The building's rehabilitation not only followed all of City of Charleston's rigorous protocols, but went above and beyond with exemplary preservation techniques and quality of work, which secured a prestigious Preservation Society Carolopoulos Award. And Historic Charleston Foundation also gave American College of Building Arts the Robert N.S. and Patty Foos Whitlaw Award, which is granted annually to citizens and groups whose work embodies the Whitlaw's aspirations to preserve the city's streetscapes, neighborhoods, and public buildings. Our second Preservation Honors Award goes to the American College of the Building Arts for their exemplary work on the Charleston Car Trolley Barn. Thank you.
Oh, is that part of here?
Wonderful.
There's some nice benches here if somebody wants to sit down, because we could be here a few minutes. There they are.
There they are. Make yourself at home. It is your home too.
That's right.
Okay. The Barn Center. The Barn Center is a historic adaptive reuse project of a 4,000 square foot circa 1904 structure on the campus of Clemson University. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1990, the Sheep Barn is the oldest structure of an agricultural purpose still on Clemson's campus, having originally housed livestock and provided learning space for students. Once the building no longer housed animals, it was utilized as an electric shop and storage until completely emptied in 2015. Keeping the overall barn rustic aesthetic in order to honor its history was paramount. The Hood construction team was able to restore much of the original exterior siding, posts, and interior columns and original supports. Windows were also refurbished, as was an all-new standing seam metal roof matching the original, and the addition of insulation and new lighting to better suit the building in its new life as an event and activity center. The 3 award recipients collaborated closely over the pre-construction period to ensure the project's scope was maximized while maintaining a challenging budget. In addition, the project team researched numerous building materials and methods. This included metal roofing, metal wall panels, and assorted other systems to make this place work. The building was facing quite a bit of decay from the years of exposure, requiring Hood to first stabilize and shore up the building before any construction or rehabilitation could take place. Those type of things usually scare people away, but these are the team of people that knows how to see it and know how to make it work. The result of a one-of-a-kind social destination on the campus of one of South Carolina's major universities in a building now equipped to stand for another 100 years. Thank you, Clemson University, Lord X. Sargent, and Hood Construction Company, Inc. Y'all step forward.
This is Clemson. Nice time.
We'll stand over here. Is this where you want us, Zach?
Lord Eck, Sergeant.
That would be me, thank you.
Okay, and Hood Construction.
There we go.
Congratulations.
Y'all gather right over here.
Gather over here. All right. I thought you-
Everyone will move over just a little bit so we don't away from that. You want to take a like one step over that way? Yeah. All right, make sure you get tight on that side. All right, right here, looking really, man, if you could take just a bit of a step over so you're kind of between. Yeah, perfect, right there. Right, turn on the end, and if you want to step just over that way and button your jacket.
It won't button.
All right, big smile right here. One more. All right.
Wonderful. Thank y'all very much. York County Courthouse was originally constructed in 1914 and listed on the National Register of Historic Places, was originally designed by Darlington, South Carolina native William Augustus Edwards, an Atlanta-based architect renowned for educational buildings, courthouses, and other public and private buildings. After more than a century of wear and nearly 6 consecutive years of disuse, the courthouse was in a state of disrepair, requiring an extensive process of renovation, restoration to bring the structure to its former aesthetic beauty and functional use. The county took the appropriate steps to examine the style, plans, materials, and finishes, and this endeavor resulted in a 268-page document thoroughly outlining all the history of renovations and the challenges in place to make sure this new renovation would work. To preserve the interior's classical revival style, designers were tasked with establishing the context of the courthouse in relation to similarly other age buildings. Sound, reflective, and absorptive surfaces were utilized throughout to improve acoustics, new carpet, rubber tiles, and refinished wood floors. So what this was a magnificent historic space that was upgraded to be a state-of-the-art facility. I would like to say that this was a perfect example of community engagement, where there was questions about whether the courthouse would be moved out, and the community rose up, and it is saved where it is. And we appreciate York County for making this happen. In its classical revival style, the York County Courthouse now not only stands as the architectural centerpiece of downtown York, but with an improved structure, full ADA compliance, energy efficiencies, and improved security, the courthouse is now accessible, safe, and will be able to serve the county for other generations to come. So York County Courthouse, David Hamilton of York County, Jim Stewart of Stewart Cooper Newell Architects, and John Hanson, Craig Owen Davis. Please step forward.
David Hamilton, that's you? That's really, I could tell. Jim Stewart? There you go. Yes, sir. And you must be John Hanson. I see you.
All right, let's squeeze in tight to each other. More on that end. All right, looking good. Big smiles right here. And one more.
Thank you. The Robert Mills Fireproof Building. When the state of South Carolina and city of Charleston cooperated to construct the fireproof building, the two governments obtained a building capable of surviving fires that too often struck Charleston. Designed and built in the 1820s, the fireproof building housed the Charleston County offices and records, including the county coroner. To place that building in a public park would provide a fire break that would protect the building's offices and valuable public records. That plan worked well and preserved the fireproof building through terrible fires, the destruction of the American Civil War, and the great earthquake of 1886, and hurricanes too numerous to recall. Designed to provide maximum efficiency for office workers and for those who use its services, the fireproof building aimed also to be a powerful symbol of American Republican values and of the influence of classical Greek and Roman culture in the history and culture of the state and the nation. In 1943, the building became the permanent home of the South Carolina Historical Society, and for over 60 years, the fireproof building served as the library, manuscripts repository, and headquarters of the society. In 2014, the society relocated its collections to the College of Charleston's Nathan and Marlene Addlestone Library. So then the fireproof building was then ready for its new rendezvous with the future. Now visitors are greeted by a sophisticated museum experience that combines traditional exhibits and multimedia, video presentations, and interactive displays. The centerpiece of that renovation has been the first ever installation of an elevator within the building. The elevator inaugurates a new era in the Historic Society's presence in the fireproof building to make the building accessible to all visitors, especially elderly or disabled visitors, has been a wish and a challenge to the society for decades. The elevator car rises through the first floor and second floor barrel vaulted rooms, but does not block access to the windows and facade. The large metal door that led to the original vault on the first floor has been refurbished and reinstalled. In fact, thanks to conscientious engineering and construction, neither fireproof building's exterior nor its interior hint at the momentous change the elevator has brought the building. The restoration of the fireproof building and the expansion of the Historic Society's role in the life of the state and region is why they deserve this award very much. Thank you very much to the South Carolina Historic Society and Glenn Keys of Glenn Keys Architects. Y'all come forward. Glenn couldn't make it, so could y'all pull me? Oh, yeah, well, there we go. Yeah. There we go. Come on, Bennett, you're the tall one on that side. Come on behind. everyone in the room, they can stand behind me and still be seen.
Actually, if I could get you to stand kind of this guy. Over here. This guy. And keep you right here.
There we go.
If I could get you. Right here at this camera. All right, good.
Awesome. Thank you. That is our Preservation Awards. Now we have another category, the Stewardship Award. And this is a very special award in that it recognizes what we have seen as a very rare commodity, is proper stewardship of our historic resources. Many of our historic resources have been lost because of lack of stewardship. So we have developed this award system to honor those folks who have ensured the ongoing preservation of historic buildings, structures, and sites through their long-term care, planning, management, protection, and continuous ownership. Sumter, South Carolina has a rich Jewish history. From the mid-1800s to mid-1900s, there was a steady Jewish presence in Sumter due to active retail, textile, and manufacturing opportunities. In 1912, Congregation Sinai began construction of a temple in a Greek Revival style. The sanctuary featured large stained glass windows and high-style woodwork. The building was well used until the latter half of the 20th century when the congregation began to dwindle. Younger generations of Temple Sinai families left for bigger cities. It's a story that's happened to all our towns and sacred spaces. Residents of Sumter without a Jewish background expressed concern and interest in helping ensure the historic temple along with their Jewish citizens. This led Roger Ackerman to consider turning part of the building into a museum about the Holocaust. With no permanent exhibit on the Holocaust between Atlanta and Richmond, he saw an opportunity for the temple to serve as an educational resource for the students of Sumter County and the state. The Sumter County Museum, Temple Sinai, and Coastal Community Foundation signed an agreement in December 2016 with the mutual goal to preserve Temple Sinai building as a historic entity with the purpose of operating it as an educational and cultural facility. With the Jewish population declining in numbers, it seemed more important than ever to ensure the historic memory of this portion of the people and citizens will be preserved. It was also key to ensure all renovations and exhibition construction follow the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation. The exhibit caused minimum impact to historic fabric at Temple Sinai. No changes are made to the building's character-defining features. The majority of the exhibit is displayed on new walls that are attached to the floor of the Society Hall, and there are no changes to the historic sanctuary or the exterior of the temple. The Temple Sinai Jewish Center opened to great fanfare in June 2nd, 2018, and it's with great pleasure that we award this year's Stewardship Award to the Temple Sinai congregation for the Temple Sinai Jewish History Center. Please step forward. Thank you. We appreciate Channel 19 coming and spreading the word. Thank you. I would like to say a little adjunct that thank you. in retrospect of that, one of the things our organization is proud of is South Carolina Sacred Spaces, which is a book that our board member Bill Fitzpatrick had done, and about sacred, endangered sacred spaces. Temple Sinai is featured prominently in that book, and many of the places in the book are in grave danger, and it's wonderful to see solutions happening on that. Thank you for your dedication to your community. Appreciate that very much for the rest of us. The Governor's Award. Professor Carter L. Hudgens has dedicated much of his incredible capacity toward bettering the preservation landscape in South Carolina. He is receiving this award because of his contributions to the care for this state's historic resources and his development of future preservation leaders, particularly as he closes a chapter as the director of the graduate program in historic preservation, co-sponsored by Clemson and the College of Charleston, and shifts his attentions to projects of scholarship and preservation advocacy for the rest of the state. Dr. Hudgens' biography tells the story of a career dedicated to understanding and preserving important historic places across the Southeast. Professor Hudgens was one of the originators of the movement within historic preservation that began to consider vernacular architecture and its importance. His scholarship and service work with the Vernacular Architectural Forum ties him into a prestigious set of individuals who were instrumental in expanding the purview of the preservation field to everyday buildings. His two books, Shaping Communities, Perspectives in Vernacular Architecture, and Gender, Class, and Shelter, Perspectives in Vernacular Architecture, demonstrate his contribution to the development of this field. We've always said it's not about monumental buildings, it's about monumental stories. And vernacular architecture helps tell those stories better than almost anything. Dr. Hudgens is recognized nationally for his excellence in preservation work and education, having held teaching positions with University of Maryland and Mary Washington and here in South Carolina. One of the manifestations of his excellence in teaching is his creation of educational opportunities for students that simultaneously contribute to the preservation of historic places of state and national significance. He has demonstrated his dedication to the field of preservation in South Carolina in his roles as the director of Historic Charleston's Foundation and the graduate program in historic preservation. Under his leadership with Historic Charleston Foundation in the 1990s, they established a youth training program in the traditional building trades and started the Neighborhood Impact Initiative to preserve neighborhoods while combating gentrification. Dr. Hudgens guided the foundation to publish several important research works, including The Buildings of Charleston and Historic Preservation for a Living City. Also during his tenure, HCF consolidated its ownership and protections of McLeod Plantation, purchase of the Aiken Red House, and opened its innovative house museum focused on African American history, undertook the rehabilitation of the James Misroon House, and celebrated its 50th anniversary. Dr. Hudgens has made service learning a central part of the curriculum. Since teaching in South Carolina for the last almost decade, this aspect of his approach has brought great benefit to South Carolina historic resources. By engaging with the stewards of historic places around the state, Dr. Hudgens has brought a true richness to his students while helping those who care for significant buildings and landscapes in our historic built environment, and for ensuring that there's a new generation of folks who know what they're doing and just being involved in carrying that forward. The Governor's Award goes to Professor Carter L. Hudgens. Carter, step forward.
Good work.
McMaster, y'all want to kind of turn your bodies that way, and then y'all opposite ways here. Strike a pose. Facing each other. Yeah, tighten it on one end. All right, that's good. Then we're going to take a couple here to make sure no one blinks, and one more.
All right. That concludes our services today. Governor, thank you very much for your support. Our organization, as well as Archives and History, we have a lot of challenges ahead. There are some things happening all over the state that we are being challenged by with historic preservation from different cities. and there's some amazing success stories that are going on. So we look forward to another year of fighting those challenges, advocating for what matters, and celebrating the successes a year from now with you by our side. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Good job. Good reading.